I am so incredibly shocked. Apple cancels work on electric car, ending a decade-long effort. Executives tell staff to wind down endeavour, known as Titan, also formerly known as Project Titan. We've discussed this repeatedly in the past. Employees on some car teams will move to Apple's AI division. So I'd just like to hold a quick moment of silence for Apple's former electric vehicle project. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, that's enough silence. Let's move on. Apple is cancelling a decade-long effort to build an electric car, according to people with knowledge of the matter. It's always according to people with knowledge of the matter. Abandoning one of the most ambitious projects in the history of the company. Now, before we get any further into this Doomberg article, it's worth considering why, after sinking who knows how much capital, time, energy, unfathomable. It's been well and truly over a decade here. And this is not just a tiny little side project. This has been a huge endeavour. Why would a company with many, many tens, hundreds of millions of loyal customers, an incredible brand, remember, brand is really important, a huge ecosystem, the perception that anything they make is going to be high quality, seamless, beautifully designed, a company with a pile of cash so unfathomable, it truly defies belief. You can't even picture how much cash Apple has. Why would such a company abandon their efforts already deep into the project that could unlock an opportunity that dwarfs their entire current business? Unless, of course, it turns out that Apple have done the math and realized Tesla's already run away with this, so let's not even try. Now, this is Apple, bro. For what it's worth, there are clips of Elon Musk back in 2016 pointing out that Apple was already way too late to start on their EV project. They'd really missed an opportunity. The fact that no product materialized, I have to give credit to Apple in my opinion. They're actually intelligent enough to realize there's no point even trying to compete with Tesla, so don't. Taking a quick detour via X from Mr. Breaking News himself. Apple tried to make an EV for 10 years, has a cash pile of $162 billion, and still ultimately came to the conclusion that it's too hard and that margins would be too small, even at a $100,000 price. Originally, Apple wanted to be a fully autonomous vehicle, but they didn't have the vehicle fleet, real-world data, nor the experience to be able to accomplish that. There are only 2 major American car makers that haven't ever gone bankrupt, Tesla and Ford. And as Elon famously likes to say, prototypes are easy, production hard. Musk chiming in on this very thread, the natural state of a car company is dead. And he's right. It's really not a business that you want to get into or be in. Apple have finally figured this one out. Oh, by the way, just a quick heads up. Had an excellent, wide-ranging conversation with Dr. Know-It-All, discussing Tesla, autonomy, the Optimus humanoid robot, progress with AI, health, longevity, meaning, purpose, and loads more. Check it out. Link in the pinned comment. Back to the article. Apple made the disclosure internally Tuesday, surprising the nearly, wait for it, 2,000 employees working on the project, said the people, who asked not to be identified because the announcement wasn't public. The decision was shared by Apple's Chief Operating Officer and the Vice President in charge of the electric vehicle project. The 2 executives told staffers that the project will begin winding down and that many employees on the car team, known as Special Projects Group, will be shifted to the Artificial Intelligence Division. Those employees will focus on generative AI projects, an increasingly key priority for the company. Now, just take a moment here. Not only have Apple done the math and realized we're going to have to pull the plug on vehicles, but they're also emphasizing how important their AI projects are. And in entirely unrelated matters, I just wanted to mention that Tesla is just a car company that doesn't have any AI projects underway, especially not the world's greatest real-world AI. So I don't even know why I mentioned that, actually. Let's move on. The Apple car team also has several hundred hardware engineers and vehicle designers. It's possible they will be able to apply for jobs on other Apple teams. There will be layoffs, but it's unclear how many. And Apple, of course, declined to comment. The move came as a relief to investors, apparently, who sent Apple shares climbing Tuesday after an earlier decline. I wish we wouldn't read into stock movements so much. It's possible that this news caused some buying activity. It's also possible that it didn't. Elon Musk, head of Tesla, also celebrated the move. I'm not sure celebrated is the word. He sent a post on X with a saluting emoji and a cigarette. The decision to ultimately wind down the project is a bombshell for the company, ending a multi-billion-dollar effort called Project Titan that would have vaulted Apple into a whole new industry. The tech giant started working on a car around 2014, setting its sights on a fully autonomous electric vehicle with a limousine-like interior and voice-guided navigation. But the project struggled nearly from the start, with Apple changing the team's leadership and strategy several times. There's Musk's post, by the way. Celebration? Not quite. But hey, can confirm the Apple electric vehicle project has gone up in smoke. Rest in peace. FUD alert. Apple also was facing a cooling market for EVs. Oh, God damn it. It's still today, bro. Oh, my God. Sales growth lost steam in recent months after high prices and a lack of charging infrastructure discouraged mainstream buyers from shifting to all-electric vehicles, says Doomberg, who don't know what they are talking about. Would somebody like to check back in and let's see what's happened to year-over-year electric vehicle sales about 12 months from now? And let's do it again in 24 and 36. You know what? Let's also do it in another 72 months. Government Motors, who led and matter, and Ford are pivoting to producing more hybrid vehicles after confronting lackluster... I'm just going to correct this in real time. It's a little bit difficult to read and correct instantaneously, but I'll try. Good chance to stretch my brain a little bit. Government Motors and Ford are pivoting to producing more hybrid vehicles out of desperation after confronting the cold, hard reality that producing overpriced steaming piles of excrement relative to Tesla vehicles in the same market as Tesla vehicles will result in consumers buying Tesla vehicles and not your overpriced pieces of shit, as opposed to Doomberg's claims that there's lackluster EV demand. No. Make compelling, well-priced electric vehicles. They sell. Big difference. The reasoning here from Doomberg is akin to a 300-pound, 42-year-old self-hating basement-dwelling adult virgin claiming that women are not interested in men because he can't get laid. Understand the point? There's not a lack of interest from women in men, it's just a lack of interest from women in you. After confronting lackluster EV demand and manufacturing bottlenecks of their own making, and automakers across the industry are slashing battery electric car prices, production targets and profit forecasts. Even Tesla, the pioneer of the EV revolution in the US, has warned its rate of expansion will be, quote, notably lower this year. Now, why? Why did they say this? They're in between growth waves. They've currently got 4 automotive factories, either fully ramped or close to, or currently ramping. A next-gen vehicle platform. They're finalizing the production systems before building out production lines for trial production and then actual production, and also ramping up the Cybertruck very slowly. Tesla hasn't warned that customers aren't interested in electric vehicles. They're literally explaining something that's quite logical. Well, guys, we've already got 4 factories that are already built, 2 of them basically fully ramped, and the others ramping pretty quickly, but, you know, relative to previous years when we had multiple factories ramping up at the same time with the world's best-selling vehicle, it's going to be a little bit slower as we finish the production systems for the next-gen vehicle before we begin building production systems, then the production lines, and the factories to produce the next-gen vehicle. Domestic EV sales growth will decelerate to 11% this year from an estimated 47% in 2023, according to forecasts by UBS AG. Apple's most senior executives finalised the decision in recent weeks, according to The People. It comes just a month after Bloomberg News reported that the project reached a make-or-break point. The most recent approach discussed internally was delaying a car release until 2028 and reducing self-driving specifications from level 4 to level 2 plus technology. In short, Apple realised that getting to where they need to be to actually compete in the global marketplace was never going to happen, therefore, fuck it, let's pull the plug. Now, if Apple's figuring this out, it's possible there'll be some other companies today who are starting to figure this out as well that aren't Tesla and aren't based in China. Apple once envisioned creating a car without a steering wheel and pedals, but it scrapped that notion earlier. The company also spent time working on a remote command center that could take over for a driver. Most recently, Apple had imagined the car being priced at around $100,000. I think Lucid has fucked around and found out on Apple's behalf regarding that price point. But executives were concerned about the vehicle being able to provide the profit margins that Apple typically enjoys on its products. The company's board was also concerned about continuing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year on a project that may never see the light of day. Apple continues to invest heavily in other areas. The company spent, wait for it, $113 billion on total research and development over the past 5 years, resulting in a number being added to the current year model of iPhone and AirPods. Oh, and they also had an incredibly brilliant VR headset. that's a few generations from really having a meaningful impact. And funnily enough, literally something that Steve Jobs, I'm not kidding by the way, on the record actually discussed as a potential future product for Apple. So yeah, that $113 billion over the last half decade has certainly paid off. Now, I'm not hating on Apple here, okay? They have a very compelling company, but what the fuck are they doing with that $113 billion? The company has scrapped projects before, including a plan to make a TV set that was abandoned around 2015. But few endeavours have lasted this long, involved so many employees, or racked up billions of dollars in expenses. Now, if I didn't know any better, I might think that maybe the electric vehicle business is difficult. So far, Apple's biggest push into the auto industry was its CarPlay software. And by the way, this is probably their likely only play in the future, which lets drivers access iPhone features like Maps and Siri. It's being redesigned to integrate more deeply with vehicle controls and entertainment systems. By not competing with automakers, Apple could give a boost to that software, helping spread it to more models. And in the end, focusing on AI may be a better bet, Bloomberg Intelligent Analyst says in a note. Apple's decision to abandon electric cars and shift resources towards generative AI is a good strategic move, we believe, given the long-term profitability potential of AI revenue streams versus cars. So, rest in peace, the Apple electric vehicle, the Apple autonomous vehicle. I'm so terribly shocked to have seen this occur. It's not like they were way too late to the party. The car business is not exactly difficult, so I'm sure that that's not one of the reasons. It's not like Tesla already has won the decade and next decade. It is worth, however, just taking a moment again to consider if Apple, with essentially unlimited resources, infinite capital, countless employees, engineers, designers, you name it, loyal customers, a well-known brand, if even Apple have realized, you know what, it's just not fucking worth it, why even bother? If they're willing to cut their losses, having vaporized countless billions over the last decade on this dead project, does that tell us anything about how difficult this business may be? And for what it's worth, I think Apple's best next steps would be, as this article implies, would be to more further integrate their software into vehicles that aren't Teslas, although, let's be honest, most of those won't exist in the future, so might be a short-term play. But imagine an Apple OS operating within vehicles. Get the full Apple ecosystem in your electric vehicle. Although, given that the MBA holding marketing PhDs keep explaining to me brand image and all this kind of shite, would Apple be comfortable having their software operating in shitty electric vehicles? Who knows? What's quite interesting is some of the commentary from analysts regarding this. I heard a lot of people strangely think that an Apple electric vehicle would be a huge threat to Tesla, would eat Tesla's lunch, would steal market share from Tesla. And of course, that was all contingent on the fact that Apple actually made the thing, right? Three guys in suits have some thoughts.
Cars are hard. I mean, phones, the thing with your eyeballs that they're doing now, okay, those are hard. Cars are a different animal. If you're an Apple shareholder, many of our viewers and listeners are, should they be happy about this news?
I think they should be disappointed. And part of it is that Apple's a tech company, and tech companies by definition need to grow. And that's the $400 billion question that they have. That's their revenue this year. And to grow a top line, they haven't grown their top line for the last 6 quarters. And to grow the business, you got to get into some big markets. Vision Pro has some potential, but that was the kind of the shiny opportunity related to the car. This could, if they get 10% of the automotive market, that would grow their top line by 60%. We can set aside the earnings question, but I understand that most investors thought that this was a low probability, and that is reflected in how the stock traded today. But ultimately, I'm disappointed. I think Apple could have done something really special when it comes to automotive.
Well, I'm sorry.
So, in a hypothetical universe in which things that are hoped for occur with a high probability, this is totally fair. In theory, it's possible Apple hypothetically could have done something great, but in reality, competing against companies like Tesla and a wave of lower budget, quite compelling Chinese electric vehicles, which won't be directly competing with Tesla, but still available in the same marketplace. Again, look at Apple iPhone share of the market, right? It's not like iPhone has 60% market share. Apple gets most of the profits from their iPhones, but there's a lot of compelling, much more affordable, technologically superior smartphones on the market. Great example of China. Versus Apple, the premium higher end product with huge margins. Well, guess what? There's already an Apple in terms of electric vehicles. It's Tesla. It's just not realistic for Apple to have had any expectation to actually be able to enter this market super late, scale vehicle production to a meaningful mark to actually become profitable, and to sell extremely high-priced electric vehicles. It's just not on the cards. Maybe in a different version of the simulation where Tesla didn't exist and where Apple had started the project 15 years earlier, for sure. It sounds like Gene was a little bit hopeful as opposed to reasonable on this one. I get it, totally disappointing, but this was really only going to end one way. A lot's happened in the last few years, including Apple having released fucking nothing. As much as maybe 3 or so years ago, maybe closer to 4, it's possible Apple could have surprised everyone and actually had secretly built a factory and already ramping up production on their first vehicle and priced at about 50, 60,000 US dollars and are profitable once it reached scale. Maybe then they could have made it, but that didn't materialize, and so they had no choice but to pull the plug.
Sorry to interrupt, Gene, but to the point I just made with Ross, the question rather, maybe there's a chance, so you're saying there's a chance, that Apple is abandoning its own effort because maybe it does want to take a pass. Maybe not at Tesla, which is massive, but maybe at a Rivian.
Fucking ha. I'm giving this about a 0.000042069% chance. Possible, but extremely unlikely. If I'm right, Apple have enough sense to realize that Chinese EV makers plus Tesla equals we're fucked. There's no point trying. What exactly would Apple gain from purchasing an EV startup? It's too late for them as well. What? Buy a Titanic that's already been struck by the iceberg, sinking? I mean, doesn't matter how cheap you buy the Titanic for. If it's going to sink anyway, what's the point?
Maybe add a Lucid, right? Instead of build, just buy.
I think that makes sense. I think the Rivian piece that lines up. I think by my last check, it's what, $10-12 billion market cap, and definitely more doable. And I think it does line up. Apple could do this, and I think that would get them into that bigger market. So I'm disappointed that this turn in events, and so I don't want to be predicting that they're going to ultimately do something like this. But I do think Apple needs to break into some new market. And dare I say the television? It still surprises me that they didn't do it. I don't want to go back to that conversation, but they need to do something big, and potentially Rivian would be just the answer to that.
Now, look, I don't want to be a hater here. I think Gene's overdosing a little bit on hope. But what exactly would Apple gain from purchasing Rivian, who is still a coin toss as to whether or not they survive? Serious question. What exactly does Apple gain? They gain ownership of a company bleeding billions of dollars, still yet to reach scale enough to hit profitability, competing in the same marketplace as Tesla, struggling, still not even at base camp, yet to scale the mountain. Tesla's so far ahead that, to me, for Apple to spend billions of dollars, even though, relatively speaking, it's a tiny portion of their overall cash reserves, buying a company who at best are a 50-50 chance of making it, irrespective of who owns, who operates? Why? I really think at this point in time, Apple have done the math and said, it's just not worth it. The risk's just too high. Tesla's too far ahead. No point. I think their best bet here, as I mentioned earlier, is to go all in on software and try and integrate an Apple operating system within as many electric vehicles on the earth as possible. What do you guys think? Would Apple consider acquiring a different company that's already producing electric vehicles? I hear Nikola's pretty cheap right now. Over and out. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links at the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.